Hello, you're welcome. In this video, I want to show you how you can use the evaluate feature in Excel to be able to check the precedence of formulas in your analysis. So normally when you're performing analysis in Excel and you have multiple operators, Excel will follow a strict sequence of precedence to determine the order of the calculation. So normally it starts with the range, then the implicit intersection, spilled range, intersection space, union, operators, negation, then goes to percentages, exponentiation, then multiplication and division next, and addition and subtraction, text concatenation, and then finally it's also considers the comparison operators. So it does not just perform your operation like that when you have multiple operators in your formula. So I'm going to show you this live using this very data here. So in this data, I have employee data in the company where we have the performance of the employee based on the sales they've made and their regions. So you can see in this G column, I have used this formula to concatenate, okay, for each employee, a performance tag. So you can see John is having a tag of good. Then for this very H column, I have adjusted my profit calculation using the tax rate as well. So the costs and the sales with the tax rate help me to arrive at this adjusted profit calculation. And then finally here, I have the final performance evaluation, which I've used the if function, the if function to be able to arrive at. Now, I'm going to see if it's going to be possible for us to see each of these using the evaluate function, but even if we're unable to see each of them, the principle is same and you can always have your formula checked to see the way Excel will follow through to process your formula. So the first is this very cell for this G2. I want to check for it. So from this, my home tab, I will come to formula tab, click on formula tab, then I will come under formula auditing. Then here where I have FX, you will see evaluate formula. So once I click on this evaluate formula, you see it brings up this for me. So from here, I will be able to see that the first thing it's checking for is this A2, okay? And it wants to get the value for A2 first. So when I click on evaluate, it goes to get the value of the A2. Then next, it wants to work with the concatenation. Okay, so it works with the concatenation, and then now the value of F2. It wants to get the value for F2 first before it can also perform the next concatenation. So it gets the value of the F2 and then finally it will now perform the final concatenation. And you can see, so it follows an order while performing this very analysis. Now we can check for this other one, the adjusted profit. And if I still come to this formula auditing and click on it, you can see the first thing it starts with is what we have in bracket, just like in our board mass for elementary mathematics. It starts with the bracket, what we have in bracket, and the C2 first. And then when you evaluate for C2, it goes to D2 to get the value for D2 next. So when it gets the value for D2, it now wants to evaluate everything that is inside this bracket before it goes out to the exponentiation. So when you check for it, now it has gotten the value in the bracket. It's now going into exponentiation before the multiplication. As you can see here, this exponentiation comes first before multiplication. And if it evaluates it, it can now go into multiplication before going into the next multiplication. Now you can see now it wants to get the value for C2 before it can perform the multiplication. So it gets the value for C2 and the value for E2 next before the multiplication and then the addition. So if we do this now, it has gotten the value for C2. It's now going to get the value for E2. And once it gets that, it multiplies before the final addition. So we now have 200. Then we can now move to the next stage, which is the addition. So it performs the addition to now have 2,200 as our final answer. So, and the last one is for this where I checked for the performance. So here we can either say an employee is doing okay or the employee deserves a review. So that's why we use this if statement. So in this case now, I can still come to this formula auditing, and I will not follow through each of them like that due to time, so that it will be easy for you to grasp. You can always use this to experiment in your future analysis. So it first checks for the range, as you can see here. So it goes with this first range and it sums what it gets in the first range first, then the bracket, okay, takes the minus of the bracket, then it goes to the next range. So that's just what it does, as you can see. So I'll be faster with this one because we've seen most of this. And here you can see that it will perform the division before going to the addition, just as we have here as well. So it does division before going to addition. And then now it checks for the value of C2, and then it will also check the value for 10%, multiply this before performing the next addition. Okay, and that is just what this is all about until it is able to concatenate and tell us the final result. And that's just what this is about when it comes to order of precedence in operators while we are writing our formula. I hope you were able to find this video helpful. Please, if you were, kindly like the video, share and subscribe to our channel. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.